What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over the NBA game for Saturday, June 19th, 2021. I'm going to show you both sides, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in this game, you'll have to join my Patreon. My picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the game. We are going to be doing Game 7 of the Bucks versus the Nets. This series has been really frustrating for me personally, making picks on this. You know, I had the Nets in Game 1. I had the Nets in Game 2. Both won. I had the Nets in Game 3 and the Nets in Game 4. Both lost. I was surprised that Nets didn't take one of the two games in Milwaukee. But then that's when Irving went down in Game 4. And so with that news, I was like, okay, it's a wrap for the Nets. They're done. So I took the Bucks in Game 5, thinking that was it. And then, Kevin Durant has this miracle game. And so I was like, all right, shit. And then in game 6, I was like, I took Bucks again. I was hesitant to take the Bucks, but it just made sense for Game 7, just because it would be the only game on Saturday, and I figured the NBA wants to have at least a game on Saturday, right? For good business, for ad revenue, maybe. I don't know. That would be the angle that I was looking at, and then of course drummed up some numbers for it. But here we are, Game 7, and I was thinking this was going to be a lot easier to pick, but it's not. This game is these numbers. Ugh, we'll go over them. So on this side, I have what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian, Hebrew calendar. This side is what I call my game numbers. Up top here is the away team, their coach's record, their season record, their postseason record. In the middle here is the head-to-head between the two teams. And then at the bottom here is the home team, the record for the season, their postseason record, and their coach's record. Up top here is just some extra info. Game 7, it's tied. 4-3, 3-4 is going to be the winner, one of the two. It's the 66th NBA game for the playoffs on a day with 66 date numerology for the Gregorian. So I made a pretty good case when I picked the Bucks for Game 6 to force a Game 7. I made a good case for it strictly based off of the idea that the Nets would win Game 7. I had some good info in there. Game 7, it would be the 66 NBA playoff game. Saturday, 66 date numerology. Series would be tied 3-3. The number 33 sums to 66. And 156. Milwaukee Bucks sums to 156. Nets could get their 28th loss heading into Game 7. 28 sums to 156. And then if Bucks did force a Game 7, it would set them up to become 20-22 on the road. Milwaukee Bucks equals 20-22. I'll show you that right here. See, 156, 222. And the Bucks could become 22-20 on the road with the loss in Game 7. It's the 22nd postseason head-to-head matchup between these two on a day with 79 left on the Hebrew Civil, the 22nd prime number. Bucks coach, he would get his 79th postseason loss as a coach for the Bucks, as he sits on 22 postseason wins as a coach for the Bucks. So plenty of 22 connections there. Milwaukee Bucks 222. And then Saturday will be the 170th day of the Gregorian year, and the words Brooklyn Nets sums to 170 and 53. And Bucks would pick up their 53rd win heading into Saturday, which is where they would sit. And I do want to say this: Phoenix Suns, if I spelled it correctly, yeah. Phoenix Suns sums to 164, and on the 164th day of the Gregorian, they won their game against Denver and advanced into. Was it on the 164? Let me see here. Let me go back. 70. Yeah, it was on Sunday, I think. Yeah, they swept them on Sunday. Yeah, so it was the 164th day on the Gregorian. Phoenix Suns sends 164, and they advanced to the next round. And so I guess Brooklyn Nets can do the same thing. Brooklyn Nets summed 170th, and on the 170th day of the Gregorian, they can advance to the next round. And then Bucks would sit on 53 wins, is what I wrote, and that's what they would. They would sit on 53 on the 170th day. Brooklyn Nets sums to 53 and 170. 53 and 170. And then Bucks would get their 30th loss for the season. Day with 30 date numerology on the Gregorian. I think I wrote that out there. Yeah. And then they would get their 30th loss. Saturday has 30 date numerology on the Gregorian. And then winning today's game allows the Bucks coach one more game for the 75th NBA season. It will be his 75th postseason game on Saturday. And so he gets to play one more game at least. It's the 75th NBA season. This is the 75th postseason game for his career. But this number actually goes against the Brooklyn Nets because the Nets can become 7-5 in the playoffs with a loss to end their season in the 75th NBA season. Their coach would be 7-5 for his career in postseason to go with to end the 75th NBA season. But then I also wrote Game 7 will be played in Barclays Center. Barclays Center sums to 56, and that's when Nets can get their 56th win. And it's true, they can get their 56th win. To further that, 56 sums to 46, and it also sums to 98. And today has a date numerology of 46 on the Gregorian, and it's the 98th day of the Hebrew religious. Nets can get their 56th win for the season. For the Bucks, their coach, it's his 263rd all-time game as a coach for Bucks, which is the 56 prime number. So, and to add a little bit more, the number 30 sums to 35. Bucks can get their 30th loss for the season as Nets get their 35th home win to advance. So plenty of numbers here for the Nets to win this game. But I don't know. There's some numbers here for Bucks, and I know people are not going to want to hear this. Just like when I talked about, the numbers for the Suns when they were facing the Lakers, and people just tuned out. There are some people who just tuned out. They just did not want to hear numbers for the Suns beating the Lakers. There's some numbers here for the Bucks in Game 7. I wanted to slam the Nets, is what I wanted to do. That's how I wrote it up for Game 6, basically. I basically wrote up, hey, Bucks are going to win Game 6 because it's going to set them up to lose in Game 7, is basically how I wrote it. And I don't know if I'm so sure about that anymore. Because let's get into it. This is the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed. Kind of like 23. And this is the Bucks' 83rd game for the season, which is the 23rd prime number. And they can get their 23rd road win as they become 8-3 for the playoffs this year, like 83, the 23rd prime number, as the Bucks coach gets his 23rd postseason win as a coach for the Bucks. The number 23 sums to 163, 55, and 134. And Bucks would get their 134th postseason win. And this is the Nets' 163rd postseason game. And they can just sit on 55 wins for the season with the loss. And this is what really gets me right here is the Nets, if they lose, they become 34-9 at home. 34-9 is the 70th prime number. And the Nets are currently sitting on 70 postseason wins where they can stay as they become 34-9 at home, the 70th prime number. And 70 sums to 29 and 34. And we also talked about that number 79 already. And they would sit on 34 as they get their 29th loss for the season to end their season. And then we can also look at the number 34, Giannis. He wears the number 34. The Bucks would become 13-9 head-to-head against the Nets. Postseason 13-9 or 139 is the 34th prime number. And then the Bucks would become 6-4 head to head against the Nets for the season with the win. Brooklyn Nets sums to 64. And from the Nets side, they'd be 4-6, like 46. And today does have 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. So there you have it. Not an easy look. I'm currently 3-3 in this series. So the Nets are tied with the Bucks, and I'm tied 50-50 in the series. I've gotten 2 wins picking the Nets. I've gotten 1 win picking the Bucks. And so I'm either going to go 4-3 or 3-4 in this particular series with Game 7. Like I said, the way I wrote up Game 6 when I picked the Bucks, I anticipated basically a Nets win in Game 7, basically is how I wrote it up. But now that I have it built out and I'm actually seeing everything, there's some numbers here not so good for the Nets. And particularly the 7-5, the 4-6, the 70s, those connections, the 23 is being the 2 versus the 3 seed, the 23s. Nets, don't get me wrong, Nets have some really good numbers. Like I said, the 56, Barclays Center, sums to 56. The 22s, the 222s, the 79s. You know, it's the Nets' 84th game. They can become 8-4. Maybe there's a number and a future date that they want them to get to that we're not seeing right now. But also with the 84, Nets could sit on 84 all-time head-to-head wins against the Bucks with the loss. I mean, there's that potential as well. So, oh, and also Bucks can get their 144th loss. 46 sums to 44. 44 sums to 144. 71 sums to 144. Nets would get their 71st postseason win, so that's a possibility. And Nets, it is their 43rd home game, so maybe they're the ones that go 4-3 against the Bucks to win the series, or they could sit on 34 home wins as they become 3-4 in the series and lose. So tough choice. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you some insight. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you win the pick that you make, win all the money you want to win. And I wish you the best of luck, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you again.